What is going on, guys? Today we are starting with the body work on the Ninja. I've done a little work so far. On the side here there was a big scratch and I started to paint that, and as well I've taken the handles off to paint this section because I did not like the way it looked before. It was like flat black and it was chipping, and I just put new gloss black on it and it looks great. The pieces that go on each side, they're over there getting painted, but I'm not going to focus too much of that in this video. What we're going to do is we're going to work on the tank. So it's sitting right over there and I've cleaned it out and all that. So today what we're going to do is strip the paint off of this and maybe prime it. I'd have to see if there's any dents. I could tell that there is some primer going on, or some body filler here, because we got like weird cracks and this weird color, and I'm not sure if this is primer or if it's paint that's been sanded, but there's also bits of red throughout, which is strange. So we're gonna strip the paint using paint stripper and then see what the condition is underneath. So here's the paint stripper that we're using today, and we're going to pour this on the tank, and I'm going to spray it out with this brush. This is just an old brush. I don't think it should matter too much. So, and you should wear a mask or be in a ventilated place because this smells really strong and it's not good for you. Man, this stuff looks weird. So it's only been a few minutes and already a lot of the paint is crinkling and popping up. If you get close, you can hear it. So I'm gonna let this sit for a minute or two, or I'm not sure how long, and we'll scrape it off and we'll do another layer. Also, if we look over here, these are the bar pieces. They have one coat of black paint on them so far, so I think it's time to put on a second. Alright, it's been 15 minutes and this thing looks wild. Sorry for the not focus, I'm using my phone today. Yeah, a lot of this paint has popped off. It's such a weird sight. I'm definitely thinking that this must have been red at some point, because a lot more red has sprung up. And this bike on the paper, it says it's originally black, so maybe this is not the original tank. So to remove this, we're going to use this scraper here and just... Oh my god, that's cool. Look at that. So definitely this thing must have been red. And we got some filler right here, it looks like. Oh, that's satisfying. There's a lot of filler here. What's going on? Oh, more filler over here. This bike must have had a lot of dents. Oh, definitely. Looks like we've got a circle here. So this bike, or this tank, has had filler, primer, was painted red, it looks like, primered, and then painted this ugly black. Well, this is gonna take a while, so I think I'm gonna do the rest off camera. That was all the big spots. Or you know what, over here is probably a big area. Oh, yes. Look at that nice metal underneath. There you go. So the rest I'm gonna do off camera. So this is what it looks like after 2 coats of paint stripper and a lot of scraping. Almost all the paints come off. We got some small areas. I'm gonna sand all of this lightly. And it turns out we have some slight dents going down the side. There's a lot of filler right here and here, and we have a dent right here. I can really tell that one. So I'm not sure if I should remove all of the old filler or not, but we'll see. I have new filler to fill in, so that's good. Also did the underneath, and there's also a lot of layers of paint there too, but this looks pretty good for now. I was expecting it to be a lot smoother. Like, I thought this would all be shiny metal, but it's got a lot of marks and stuff, so good cleaning, a good sanding should fix all that. Oh, and also, if you look over here, we've got the sides of the handlebars are all painted now. Final layer is done, and it's just sitting here to dry. So probably tomorrow I'll put it back on here, and we can have the handles back in, and I can continue to push this around because it's kind of hard to push it without handles. This came out pretty well. It's really smooth. It's really glossy. That's what I wanted. I'm pretty happy with this, the handles overall. Hopefully the whole paint job will turn out nice and glossy like that and smooth. Only time can tell. So it's the next day now. So tank's entirely dry now. And I've been trying a few methods on getting it cleaned up even better. If you could tell, this side's a lot shinier than this side because I've sanded this side with I'm like wet sanding with 180, and then I'm gonna go over it with 400 and 600, and just with 180 and water, because I'm doing it with water because my sandpaper is getting clogged up. So with water it doesn't. Anyways, it is much smoother and it looks a lot better. And I'm not sure, but maybe you can hear the difference. I don't know, but definitely this looks better. And as well, I've been trying to figure out how I'm gonna get this area and all these tight crevices, and I remembered that I've got a wire brush attachment for my drill, and I used it on just the circle so far, and you can already see this thing looks a lot better. It looks like it's polished almost. And I'm trying to get the inside as well. You see I've done this side, and I just have to do that side. Let me get it in the light. Yeah, there. We're gonna try to remove that and make it look like this side. Alright, so I've done most of the top so far, and I want you to see the difference between this side, which is sanded. It's very smooth, very shiny. We're going to deal with this Bondo stuff later. And then this side, which hasn't been sanded yet. There's a lot of little chips of paint that were stuck, and a lot of the gray primer seems to, like, it got liquidy and kind of smeared itself around. It's turning out well. Alright, it's a little bit later, and finally put back together the handlebars, and it came out pretty good. There are some imperfections, but from a glance it looks a lot better. As well, I fixed the brake light. Before, I don't know if I mentioned this, when I clicked the brake, the light on the rear would not illuminate. So to fix that, if you ever have the same problem, a few things you can check. You can check to see if your brake light's just working or broken by clicking the foot brake, and if that lights up, which it did, then the light's working, the wiring's all okay. So the next thing I checked was the brake lever switch. You see down there, that piece that moves out when I pull the brake, that's what turns on the light, and that wasn't working. So the actual problem, I thought I had to buy a new one, but I didn't. The connections on it were just a little bit loose, so I just cleaned it up with a bit of sandpaper, put it on tightly, and now it works great. Moving on to the tank, I've primered the bottom, and it came out pretty well, and it's already dried up. So today we will be working on the top. It's all sanded down now, and I've taped up the gas hole. So we're going to be removing this Bondo and putting on new Bondo. We've got a few dents, one right here, a small one right here. We've got this area, as well as these little divots that kind of bother me, so I'm just going to fill them since I have it in this state. And a super useful tool for removing old Bondo is a wire brush attachment. It just takes this stuff off so quickly. Okay, so the first layer of Bondo is on there. It was kind of a mess because I was rushing. It was starting to dry right around here. You can see it's clumping up, but that's okay. We can sand that and put another layer. We're gonna need to anyway. This looks pretty good, this one right here. These are the smaller dents, so they should be easier to fix. But these larger dents are gonna be a bit of a challenge to shape right. But not bad for first round. So while we let this dry, we're gonna go over here, and I've been prepping the side of the case of the engine to be painted. Because if we didn't see before, there was a massive scratch like this wide from here to here, and it was just showing all the bare metal, and I didn't like that. So we're gonna be painting this gloss black to match the original case. So I put a layer on the engine cover, and we're just letting that to dry. It's kind of tight over there, that's why I'm not filming it, but it's just black paint on the engine cover. So we're moving on to this piece. This is the belly fairing. It goes under the engine, kind of around the exhausts. And this is probably my best piece condition-wise. It has no cracks or anything, but it has this awful fake carbon fiber wrap. And we're going to be pulling this off. See, a lot of it's just crumbling. And anything that's too stuck, we have this torch to heat that up. So let's get to it. This piece should only need some sanding, and then we could paint it, hopefully. Okay, so everything's been removed, and look at that pile. It's not much, I guess, but still a lot. The tank, the Bondo seems to have dried, so we can start sanding that as well. Let me show you. Here's the first layer of black on here. It's matching pretty well. I think I'll just have to put another layer, and that'll be it. And then we can move on to sanding the tank down. I got a lot of over where I didn't want it to be, but it shouldn't be too hard to remove. We're sanding with I think this is 120 grit. It's a lot better, but still probably need a bit more filler here. And we're just gonna do this all the way around. We've put our second layer of Bondo on it. It's starting to shape up a bit better. So while that's drying, over here we're gonna start prepping this for primer. So we've taken off that vinyl, and now we're gonna sand it with this is 400 grit, and we're gonna wipe it down and then prime it. So this is it, completely sanded. I ended up using 320 grit instead because it was pretty rough, and it's pretty smoothed out now. Wiped it down with alcohol, and now I'm going to wipe it down with my tack rag, and then we're going to be applying the layer of this primer. It's a different day now, and we've finished priming the one piece of the fairing, I guess. I put about 3 layers of primer on there, and it seems to have covered it pretty well. So once that dries, we'll put on our first layer of black. And over here we have the tank that I've been sanding, and I'm pretty pleased with it. Filled out the dents pretty well, and it's pretty smooth. So I'm gonna wipe this down, and we're gonna prime this as well. Tank's fully primered. It still needs a little bit of touching up, but overall I think I did a pretty good job filling in the dents. And now over on the fender, or not defender, the belly fairing, we put on our first coat of black, and I'm using Duplicolor black enamel, gloss black. Went on pretty well. Something I have to say about automotive specific paint is that it goes on so much easier compared to like regular paint because of the spray pattern. You got like a wide spray on this and it shoots out a lot, and on like a regular can it like shoots a circle, and it just takes a lot longer. So if you're doing this and you can get automotive specific paint, I'd recommend it. So yeah, that's just one layer so far. This is the piece after painting it entirely. Clear coat's already on. It's not as, glossy as I was hoping, but this is pretty good for rattle cans, I guess. I'm going to try and polish this later after it cures for a few days. And over here we've got the tank finally ready for paint. I fixed up all the dents and I'm pretty satisfied. So now we're gonna lay the first layer of black color onto it. So that's layer number 1 on there. I noticed it's pretty difficult to get the angles down here, and it's a lot easier to reach the back, which is kind of annoying because I want the top to be my best looking part. So just gotta see what luck has installed for me. I really am hoping this turns out good. Being the tank, I want it to be like the centerpiece, the first thing you see, and I want it to be like the best looking. Well, of course I want the whole thing to be good looking, but well, that's just layer number 1. Hey guys, so that's gonna be it for this video. I didn't record any more of the painting because it was getting late in the day, and when I finished painting that day it was just dark. So here are some pictures of the final result for the tank. It turned out a lot glossier than the other piece, and in the next few videos we'll be painting the rest of the bike, so stay tuned and thanks for watching.